Link and Zelda have been mainstays of the Legend of Zelda franchise since day one. No matter which game, you can almost always find these two together, and they always share a special bond. This bond is usually done quite well, and makes for an intriguing part of the game's story. However, I find their relationship in Breath of the Wild especially fascinating. It's done in such a great way that it's both organic, compelling, and evokes profound feelings. It makes one care for these characters and their relationship, and makes them feel human rather than copy-paste cutouts. Despite this, I haven't found many people talking about it. So in this video, we'll be discussing why Zelda and Link's relationship in Breath of the Wild is fantastic. At the very start of this story, King Rome, who's also Zelda's father, assigned Link to be her personal knight. One of the things I like best about this relationship is how Zelda wasn't happy about the situation. In fact, it was quite the opposite. She feels frustration and even anger towards Link at the beginning. We can see this in the following memory.
I thought I made it clear that I'm not in need of an escort. I, the person in question, am fine, regardless of the king's orders. Return to the castle and tell that to my father, please. And stop following me!
Contrary to what she says, however, she isn't annoyed merely because she has a knight following her. It's actually because Link reminds her of what she perceives to be her own inadequacies. As Urbosa puts it in her memory, Zelda has been rigorously training to unlock her power ever since she was young, and yet she has nothing to show for it. As a result, when she sees Link carrying the Master Sword and fulfilling his destiny, it makes her feel like a failure when it comes to her own. This isn't all, however. There's a third dimension of these feelings towards him: guilt. If you look in Zelda's diary, we learn that after she lashed out on him at the shrine, she felt guilty about the ordeal. Here's a clip of the diary that says it. Credits to Zelda Universe for the dub.
My research was going nowhere. I was feeling depressed, and I had told him repeatedly not to accompany me. But he did anyway, as he always does. And so I yelled at him without restraint. I feel terribly guilty, and that guilt only makes me more agitated than I was before.
So, as you can see, Zelda feels akin to a failure when she's with Link, and as a result, becomes angry and frustrated. She then feels guilty about it afterwards, and this creates a slew of powerful and conflicting emotions. Then we turn to Link. Link doesn't have anything special going on in this part. He's assigned to be Zelda's personal knight, and he's doing his job as he should. An interesting thing to note, however, is the fact that despite all the anger coming his way, he doesn't step out of line or retaliate against Zelda once. He fulfills his duty unwaveringly and with care. This initial hatred of Link that's rooted in genuine causes, creating conflicting emotions, as well as Link's unwavering duty, is a reason why Zelda's relationship is fantastic.
Spider-Man was a hero.
As we can see, the dynamic between these two characters isn't going well. However, this changes in the memory the Yiga clan attacks. In this, we see Link save Zelda from the Yiga clan. Now, this is an extremely dangerous situation, and yet, he saved her. This shows that despite the verbal abuse, Link was there for her. He still cared about protecting Zelda, perhaps even Zelda herself. We can see Zelda's perspective in her diary.
Though I've been cold to him all this time, taking my selfish and childish anger out on him at every turn, still, he was there for me. I won't ever forget that.
This shows how Link's actions start to change Zelda's attitude towards him. She says she'll apologize to him the next day, as well as try to talk to him. This is where the change of heart is complete. The next day, Zelda successfully gets Link to open up to her. He tells her the pressure he feels with everyone counting on him and watching on him, feeling it necessary to stay strong and silently bear any burden. This has caused him to stop outwardly expressing his feelings. Zelda empathizes with this, as she's been feeling the same with her duty to unlock her sacred power. She says, "I was so absorbed with my own problems, I failed to see his." She says she wishes to talk with him more, and perhaps open up to him and express her feelings and troubles. Let's now analyze this part. We can see that through acts of kindness, both from Link and Zelda, they start to change their attitude towards each other. By saving Zelda and opening up to her, she's able to look past her problems with Link and start to positively open up to her. By apologizing to Link and allowing him to open up in the first place, he is able to be more vulnerable and have a more intimate relationship with her. In essence, good deeds and vulnerability turn this relationship around. This also creates really profound character development for both characters, changing ingrained views and connecting the unlikely companions. It's a type that really hits home and gets you invested. This further solidifies why Link and Zelda's relationship is fantastic. Nothing too much happens in this part, but I still think it's necessary to point it out. Here, we see that Link and Zelda have become friends. However, during the course of this part, they become closer and closer, increasing the quality of their friendship. They even have a few heart-to-heart moments that really allow them to understand each other and create a deep connection. This gradual progression of their friendship feels very natural. So natural that you could imagine it happening in real life with real people. This realism makes a relationship much more compelling and believable, rather than if they became super close super instantly. It's also nice how the developers didn't make them immediately fall in love, as such a sharp twist in attitude wouldn't always be believable. That would take away from the realism and make the story less satisfying. Anyways, the slow and realistic progression of Link and Zelda's relationship is another reason why their relationship is fantastic. Wouldn't it be nice if we were older? This is the final part of the story, and starts just as the calamity awakens. We see Zelda return from the Spring of Wisdom, having not unlocked her powers. As the champions talk amongst themselves, Mipha suggests a solution.
But I was thinking about what I do when I'm healing. You know, what usually goes through my mind. It helps when I think about...
Although she never finishes her sentence, we can assume through context clues she'll say something to the effect of, "a person I care about." Keep this in mind for later. The very next memory we get is Link and Zelda running through a forest. Zelda falls down and Link goes back to her, and at this moment, Zelda pours her heart out to him. She talks about how Ganon became victorious and believes that it's all her fault. She feels like she failed the other champions, her father, and the entire kingdom itself. She feels like a failure. And this pressure and the failure she feels all comes crashing down in this one moment. She cries and the memory ends. Now this is important because it shows how close they've become. Zelda's gone from hating Link to feeling open enough to be this vulnerable and literally cry into his arms. Link has become so open with Zelda that his problems with emotions aren't really apparent. He takes part in this heartfelt moment and even consoles Zelda. If there were any barriers between the two, they're gone now. It shows how close they've become, how open they feel, and their admiration of each other. Now we get to the final memory. Link is beat up badly and is a wound away from perishing. A guardian comes to deliver the finishing blow, and almost instinctively, Zelda jumps in front of Link to defend him, and her sacred power is unlocked. Now, remember what Mipha said earlier about thinking about someone she cared about while using her power? Well, I believe that's what happened here. Zelda and Link have really grown to care about each other, so much so that when Link was about to die, Zelda jumped in to defend him with no care for her own safety, and allowed her to unlock her power. I repeat, Zelda and Link's bond is so strong, it allowed Zelda to unlock literal godlike superpowers. It's crazy, almost impossible to think that earlier on, Zelda couldn't stand being in the mere vicinity of Link. And this deep care and affection for each other that evolved from profound hatred is a final reason why Link and Zelda's relationship is fantastic.
You're still here.
Let's recap. We start with a deeply rooted hatred of Link from Zelda, a change in attitude after a heart-to-heart, a blossoming friendship, and finally a deep admiration for each other. And it's this deep, radical, realistic, and compelling character development that includes so many fun, heartfelt, and gripping moments along the way, all leading up to a final climax. That's what's truly making Link and Zelda's relationship fantastic. Character development. If they started and stayed in one of these parts, it would have been good, but the natural evolution between the two made it great. Many people theorize if something romantic sprung up, and there's definitely evidence to prove that in Tears of the Kingdom, but honestly, even if they are just really good friends, they presented it in such a great way that it's good enough on its own. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have an awesome day.